Hey vinyl community, Elliot here. I thought I'd wrap up the year. I've only been in the vinyl community since the 1st of November, but I thought I'd wrap up the year with a look at some albums I've picked up recently. And I know a lot of people are doing their 2019 albums, best albums, and top 10 and things like that. I don't buy a lot of new records. I buy some new records, so I thought I got out the records I bought this year that I bought new, and almost all of them were 2018 and 1978, or all kinds of years, but not 2019. But I have a few, not enough to do a top 10 from 2019. But here's three records, albums that I picked up from artists that released these originally in 2019. Start off with Molly Tuttle, and this is her album When You're Ready, her first full-length album. She'd done an EP earlier, and Molly Tuttle is just a great guitarist, very renowned in the bluegrass world. But this is not a bluegrass album. Let me show you the vinyl on this. It's a bright clear red, I guess you'd say. This is, I guess you'd call it a folk pop folk album or something like that. She's a great bluegrass guitarist and plays in the bluegrass format a lot, but that's not what this album is. This is very much a pop album, folk pop album. Very good and highly recommended. But if you're looking for her hot picking, she was, by the way, 2019 International Bluegrass Association Guitarist of the Year. You're not going to find it on that album. Some great guitar on there, but that's not where the hot picking's going to come from. She's from California. Had a family band. Her father was a band, had bluegrass bands, and is a teacher. And so she came up learning from when she was knee-high to her father, I guess. Another 2019 is this record from Billy Strings, much more of a bluegrass oriented, although it's kind of a space grass, I guess you might say, as well. It's not a traditional bluegrass album, but I've talked about this album before. This is really a very good album. Billy Strings out of Michigan, great young guitarist. He was the 2018 International Bluegrass Association Guitarist of the Year. And he and Molly play a lot together. They play at the festivals, same festivals and stuff, and they do a lot of work together. Very good. And then there's this Tedeschi Trucks band, Signs, came out in 2019. I mentioned this album before as well. It's a very good album. I love this band, and it features it includes a 7-inch recording. It says Tedeschi Trucks Band, but it's really just Susan Tedeschi, her husband Derek Trucks, Susan's singing, Derek's doing the resonator guitar, and Oliver Wood is doing acoustic guitar. And this is in loving memory of Greg Allman, C. Dale Davis, Leon Russell, B.B. King, and Butch Trucks, people we've lost in recent times. And the song is on one side, and I doubt you can see this, but there's an etching of the profiles or faces of those that this is in loving memory of, those we lost recently. I don't think we lost them all in 2019, but in the last couple of years. So those are some 2019 albums I picked up. Picked up some other new albums. It's just a few of them. Blind Boy Fuller. Very hard to find Blind Boy Fuller and Reverend Gary Davis albums, but I was able to find this new Blind Boy Fuller with Sonny Terry and Bull City Red. I'll be talking about he and Reverend Gary Davis in a later video, I believe. And Nina Simone. This is I think this was 1967, if I'm not mistaken. Silk and Soul, and this is a new reissue, I'm assuming, It's got the 1967 date on here, but I feel confident this is a reissue. Came out much later. Another new album I picked up, not new release, but the Carolina Chocolate Drops, if you may be familiar with them. Donna Got a Rambling Mind is this album, and this came out, I don't know, 2012 or something like that. This is the original lineup of the Carolina Chocolate Drops with Rhianna Giddens and Dom Flemons and what's Robinson's first name? Justin Robinson, I believe it is. And that's let's see, yeah, Justin Robinson. That this band broke up, splintered off not too long after that album came out. Great Piedmont blues players. Etta Baker, this was recorded at her home. This is Railroad Bill on the Music Maker label. Recorded at her home in 96, 95, 96, and 98. And I'll be talking about her later in a later video as well. And Ironing Board Sam, this is from 2015. Super Spirit, this one's called. Very good album. I can't remember if this is colored vinyl. Not that it really matters, but I believe it is, though. Yeah. I don't think they sound as good when they're that colored vinyl. Heard a lot of not a lot of surface noise, but some surface noise that you hopefully won't hear in a brand new record that often. Those are a few I picked up. And right here at Christmas time, actually 2 days before Christmas, I went over to DISCOGS and picked out some records. I was looking specifically for an artist or two, and whenever I go to DISCOGS, I try to look for the best deal I can find in good quality. You know, very good plus is what I prefer. I actually got a couple of these records that ended up, I ordered them, included them, even though they were only very good. Hopefully I can clean them up and they'll sound very good plus. But I was looking for some specific artists' later work that I didn't have already, and got these from Philadelphia Music, I believe it is the name on DISCOGS. He offers it's a record store in Philadelphia. It's called something else, I forget. It's a Beautiful World or something like that is the actual record store's name. Somebody in the Philly area may know that. But he offers, $5 shipping no matter how many records you get. So I found what I was looking for like $3. So that's an $8 record if that's all I buy. So then I clicked on under $5, and I went to different genres that I like. They got country, world, folk, and all in one category. Not very specific, but I like a lot of bluegrass and acoustic music in general, things like that. Clicked on that and started looking for things that were only $1 or $2, couple of dollars, $4, $3. Found a lot. Then I'll go to soul and look through soul and see if there's anything I'm really looking for. I'll go to jazz and look there. And what I ended up doing for $61.64 or $3.08 a record, I got 20 records using that system. I got 2 Clarence White era Byrds albums. This is farther along, and Bird Mantics, however you say that. That's again a Clarence White era Byrds album. Let's see. There you go. These are in very good plus condition. I looked at them and they look great. Haven't played them yet, but I just got them. Ordered them on the 23rd, and they were here. They arrived this morning, so that's pretty good. I love classic honky-tonk country music, and one of the greats was Mo Bandy. I don't know if Mo's still living or not, but Mo did some great, pure honky-tonk country. Nothing pop about his work. highly recommend Mo Bandy if you want some real country music. And this was called Hank Williams, You Wrote My Life. I've heard people now, some folks out in the great Northwest may be able to shed some light, but I'd heard about an artist on Dawg Records called Bonnie Guitar. And I saw this one. This is only a very good, but I looked at the vinyl. It looks like I might be able to clean it up and be better than very good. But Bonnie Guitar is considered by a lot of people, I think, pretty influential, important artist. And I never see any of her albums or anything, and saw that one for $1.75 or something. I got that one. The history of Bob Wells and Texas Playboys. This is on MGM. I think that was the label he was always on, if I'm not mistaken. And some jazz. Here's Fats Waller Sings and Swings. This is a 1978 Pickwick release. If memory serves me, I believe it's, 1978. And Fats Waller, I love Fats Waller. And one of my favorite jazz guitarists is Django Reinhardt, and jazz violinist Stefan Grappelli. And it's got Eddie South, who I'm not familiar with, also playing the violin here. And this is the Jazz Club is the label that appears. And it's all, I think, in French. So this is actually a French record. Can't read. The label is in English, but when you look at the liner notes, they're all in French. Don't know what they're saying. Haven't listened to any Zydeco music in a long time. I've got some Zydeco CDs. Didn't have anything on vinyl. And I guess Buckwheat Zydeco on A Night Like This. He was on Island Records. If you remember, he had a hit back, I don't know when it was, in the late 80s maybe. And he was kind of the representative for all of Zydeco music there for a while for the general public that weren't familiar. Jimmy Arnold, and this is on Rebel, on Rebel Records, and this is a kind of a concept album about it's called Southern Soul, about the period after the American Civil War, I believe. And here's one I was really surprised. Got it for next to nothing. All others, like, it averaged out to $3.08 a record. This, I'm assuming, is the first Kinky Friedman album, because it's just titled Kinky Friedman. And it's a couple of songs were produced. At least one of them was produced by Willie Nelson. And it's be careful what you say about Kinky, because you can get people upset. He had a song, and it was a parody or a satire called, I think it was Get the Biscuits in the Oven and Your Buns in the Bed, or something like that. And it was an quote unquote anti women's liberation. That really wasn't what it was. The whole point was he was making fun of people that were anti-women's lib, I guess you'd say, or, making a satirical joke or comment about it. And he tells the story of one time he was playing somewhere, I think it was New York State, and a group of women's liberation organization women showed up at his concert and just shut it down. I mean, they were so upset about that song. But what they didn't get was that he wasn't against them. The song was a parody, making showing how ridiculous attitudes toward women by a lot of men were. But they didn't get it, so they shut it down. So the Willie Nelson song on there is the one he produced, is kind of in the same vein. You have to be careful, you don't want to offend anybody, but it's they ain't making Jews like Jesus anymore. And Kinky Friedman is Jewish, and he was just being satirical and making a comment about how ridiculous religious discrimination is and things like that. by throwing it up there and showing how ridiculous it was. Jesus was a Jew. Shock some people that have no knowledge. Okay, Stanley Brothers. The Angels Are Singing. The only negative thing about this album is it's electronically rechanneled for stereo. Don't like those, but I didn't know it when I ordered it, but I'm sure it's still pretty good. The Country Gentleman, Yesterday and Today, Volume 1 on Rebel Records. And, of course, the leader of the Country Gentleman was Charlie Waller. And during this time, it included, the band included John Duffy and Eddie Adcock, as I've mentioned before, Bill Emerson, Dole Lawson's on here doing some singing, Tom Gray, Mike Aldridge, and just a lot of these musicians went on to form the Seldom Scene, another one of the great DC area bluegrass bands. And when I mentioned Eddie Adcock on that album, his band was called The Second Generation, and this is State of Mind on CMH Records. And I was lucky to find this Poppy Records Doc and Merle Watson album, and this is of 2 days in November. Cowboy Jack Clement produced this one, and actually it was supposed to be 3 days in November, but they got everything done in 2 days and everybody was tired, so they didn't record on the 3rd day in November. And so this is Doc and his son Merle. I love to, anytime I can find any Tracy Nelson records. And this is one from about 1975 on MCA, might be 76. And she does a song on here that Russell Smith from the Amazing Rhythm Aces wrote, one that Craig Fuller from Pure Prairie League, and then later Little Feat wrote, and a couple that she wrote. And it was $1.98 when it was new. Tracy Nelson, Time Is On My Side. And this is the first one I've gotten that doesn't have her dog on the cover. So I looked all over, but the dog's not on this one. Some mid to late 80s, Mark O'Connor, great instrumentalist, violin mainly, but also guitar. And this is kind of a modernistic look at acoustic music. Mark O'Connor, very started out in the bluegrass realm. It's jazz, bluegrass, what they called New Age back during that period. Robin and Linda Williams, I don't know how many might be familiar with them. This is on Flying Fish. Anytime you see a record on Flying Fish, you know it's going to be good. When I was living up in the mountains in Boone, North Carolina, I would tune in the East Tennessee State University radio station, and I remember hearing a live broadcast of Robin and Linda Williams that I taped on a cassette, and I heard it. And I picked up several albums by them. They're very good. Husband and wife team. You might be familiar with them from Prairie Home Companion. They played on Prairie Home Companion on the radio program fairly often. And then really what I was trying to pick up, the Blue Sky Boys, the great brother duos that I'm going to be doing a video on soon. Their real names were Bill and Earl Bullock. And there's another Blue Sky Boys. One of these is only very good. The other's very good plus. We'll see. Maybe they'll play better than that. Blue Sky Boys and the Best of the Delmore Brothers. This is actually what I was going after when I ordered this this set of 20 records from Philadelphia Music, I believe it was called, because I didn't have. I've got on cassette, but I mean on a CD, but I didn't have on vinyl some of their latter day songs that are included on this best of. Okay, so that's a look at bringing the year to a close. A look at some records from 2019. some other new records I bought this year, and 20 records I got for $61.64. If you shop right on DISCOGS, you can end up getting some really good deals. So that'll do it for me for this episode of Lazy Dogs Records. I'll remind everybody to be kind to your neighbor. And remember, everybody is your neighbor. And have a happy new year.